No matter how hard he tries, Donald Trump has failed to spin the narrative on the Jeffrey Epstein files. Part of that could be the fact that he and his administration keep acting like they've got something to hide. Case in point, NBC confirmed that there was a White House meeting Wednesday night between top officials to discuss an Epstein strategy, even though Vice President J.D. Vance denied a meeting was taking place. This is nothing new. Trump is always expected to use the full power of the government to control his own narratives. Even in his first term, in the midst of the Russia election interference scandal, he asked, quote, "Where is my Roy Cohn?" Roy Cohn, of course, was Trump's former personal lawyer and fixer in the 7OS and 8OS. Joining us now is someone who knows exactly what it's like to be Trump's Roy Cohn. Michael Cohen, former personal attorney to Donald Trump and principal at Crisis X. He's also the host of the Myolpa podcast. I've been on ITCO, host of the Political Beatdown podcast, and Substack host and creator of The Real Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen, thank you for coming to the weekend. So, explain something to me. Why do you think Vice President Vance lied about an Epstein meeting taking place when we all saw it was taking place at the White House? Because they can. And something that I want to say here on your show. Americans knowingly elected a king, and this king intends to use the full power of the executive branch, the legislative branch, as well as the judiciary, to go against political opponents. He doesn't care whether or not you say, "Oh, well, they're hiding something." He doesn't care. As the king sets the rules and he sets how the game is going to be played. And that's what Donald Trump is doing right now. Yeah, you know. Roy Cohn helped to create the playbook that Donald Trump has used for years. But you helped to modernize it, right? Like you did some of the yes, right? And so, I guess, what's next? And when you look at how Donald Trump has used the playbook that was kind of created for like real estate on the country, how do you think about your part in that and how that's worked out? Well, look at exactly what Donald has done. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you know." Look at the courts. They're holding strong for the American people, for our democracy. No, they're not. In fact, Donald Trump is yet again winning. Just take a look, whether it's the Supreme Court's presidential immunity, all the way now to the lower courts. He has the lower courts capitulating. He has the appellate courts capitulating. And if they somehow manage to defy him, he has the Supreme Court that overturns both. And so he has the game rigged. It's only going to be Americans. It'll be the American voter that will have to turn around and put an end to this. Otherwise, as I say all the time, you know, America's democracy is going to look very, very different after 2026. You, Michael, I'm just curious of all the things a President Trump has been accused of doing, has been found guilty of doing. None of those things stuck during the campaign. To your point, Americans knowingly elected a king, but this Epstein situation has broken through in ways that the 4 indictments didn't break through. 34 guilty, the convictions, he's a convicted felon. That didn't stop him from becoming president of the United States, and yet he is catching hell from his base on Epstein, WHY. Why do you think that is? Well, because it's so nefarious, I tease, so disgusting, and for whatever reason, Republicans actually ran on this entire undemocratic cabal of child sex traffickers, of rapists, and they want the answers. All Donald Trump is going to need to do is release the files unredacted. And here's my prediction on that. 2. So far as you know, I've made plenty of predictions, and I'm going to make another one here. Number 1. I don't believe that Donald Trump was on Epstein's island, WHY. He said it more than 5, 6 times, and he says it very openly. Now, Donald Trump says many things openly say, but this is different. He doesn't always flirt with the truth. That's true, but I know Trump, and I know that he's saying it for a purpose. Now, is he in the file? Absolutely, WHY. He's in the black book. He took free flights with Epstein down to Palm Beach. If he turns around and says that he was never on the island, rest assured he's going to use that as the basis for why this whole thing again is a witch hunt against him. He'll take the grain of salt and he'll make it into the entire right. He'll absolve himself. If you were still advising Donald Trump in this moment, how would you, what would you? I can tell you one thing. If I was, there would be no democracy left, because I see exactly what he's doing. I don't think that those that are around him are actually as qualified as he thinks that they are. But what do you mean that wouldn't be? Because he has managed to take total control over the legislative body. Look at the way that they have bent the knee to him, the judiciary. No different. So when you are the executive and you have now full power, what's to stop him? And the answer is nothing. And it's not going to be Epstein that did it, because ultimately somebody will get thrown under the bus. Look at what he's doing right now, for example, with Tish James. Look at what he's doing with Adam Schiff and Imran. Going to make another bold prediction here, on a lot of predictions. At 8 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of here. Take these notes, because mark my words, politically they're both doomed. All right, I'm telling you right off the bat, this is a political suicide for both them, Tish James and Adam, a political homicide, but how are they going to be? How are they politically doomed if Senator Schiff comes from a blue state? Attorney General Tish James is here in a blue state. They are elected by the people. How are they doomed politically? It'll be gerrymander. It'll end up being somehow. They will end up being held racist. Yes, but they will also be held accountable. Mark my words. They will be held accountable for the crimes that they are now looking at. That's Ed Martin who's looking at him. And I know so many people are going to say, oh my God, Michael Cohen is like bending the knee to Trump. No, what I'm doing is I'm actually telling you the reality. We could talk to each other all day long and we can say, oh, I have 1 million followers, you have 1 million followers. It's the same million followers. 77 million Americans ended up voting for Trump. Mark my words, Ed Martin, the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, they will figure out exactly how to go after Adam Schiff, how to go after Tish James for these mortgage violations. And they will mortgage violations. Alleged correct. And they will be held accountable. That's my next prediction here on your show. And I know that I'm right, because if there is a signing of a box, which is wrong, and trust me, I know I went to prison. One of my charges was on my HELOC. I had no mortgage onto IT. I had 80% equity. They held me accountable for a HELOC violation. Theirs is much worse, and rest assured, allegedly, right? So, let's go one step even further here. When you have the courts on your side as well, what chance do you have of success? It's why one turnaround and I say doomed. Yeah, Michael Cohen with lots of predictions this morning, and thanks for coming on.